Welcome everyone to our new LLW session for tonight. We have Past Assistant Governor Randy Hargrave, who will be enlightening us on food waste and climate change issues. He will be able to answer our questions for us. Please note that in order for you to actually participate, we do have a Q&A box. It should be an icon at the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to type in any question there. Or if Randy asks you a question and he wants you to answer it, you can type your answers in that Q&A box as well. In addition to that, we also have a little chat box. So if there's a specific panelist that you want to send a message to, you can do that. Just again, type in what you want and address it to the host and the panelists, and we will get to you as soon as we can. I will be monitoring the Q&A and the chat, so please feel free to use them. We will also allow you to participate verbally. If you raise your hand when you either have a question or you're trying to answer a question for Randy, we will unmute you so that you can speak. And then when you put your hand down, we will then mute you back again. So please take advantage of those things. That allows you to participate. And I will now turn it over to Past Assistant Governor Randy Hargrave from the Penetang Mines. All yours, Randy.
Okay, thank you, Past Assistant Governor Ruth. Welcome, everyone. For tonight's webinar, we're going to look at hunger, food waste, and climate change. So the objectives are tonight to do a short overview of hunger and food insecurity, because they are related, food waste and climate change, and the relationship of the three of them. Then we'll look at some solutions for us individually and for us as a Lions Club.
Want to share your screen, Randy?
Oh, I didn't show my screen?
No, not yet.
So I guess I have to exit. Oh, I gotta make you bigger. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Take your time. And for the benefit of the attendees, please note that we are recording this, so we will be able to add it to the 812 Lions YouTube channel. So if there's somebody in your club that you want to share this with, you can get them to attend to that. Okay, you're showing your screen now, Randy. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. Okay, so there's the page about the objectives, which is an overview of hunger, food insecurity, food waste, and climate change. Then the relationship between the three of them and solutions. The three of them fall in under the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The second goal for the UN is hunger. Number 12, responsible consumption and production. We'll be talking about food waste in there, and climate action with climate change. And two of our goals or causes for Lions International are hunger and the environment. So the topic tonight falls under into those categories, into those causes. So we'll just do a definition of hunger, right? As you can see, it's a craving or urgent need for food, or it's an uneasy sensation occasioned by the lack of food. You know, when your stomach's growling or grumbling and you know you're hungry. And a weakened condition brought about by prolonged lack of food. Hunger happens when the calorie intake is below the minimum dietary energy requirement for the day. So if you're not eating enough, you're going to get hungry. Then food insecurity occurs when people at risk or worry about not meeting their preference for food or getting enough food, right? In Canada, that can negatively impact our physical, mental, and social health and cost our health system considerably. A lot of people aren't hungry, but they do face food insecurity, right? They don't know where the next meal is coming. And throughout the world, when you're only making $2 a day in a lot of places throughout the world, it's hard to be able to afford to put food on your plate. Right? So worldwide, there's about 811 million people that don't have enough food, and that represents almost 10% of the world's population. In Canada, it's about 4 million people are insecure with food. That number has risen because of the pandemic. When the pandemic first started, that number actually dropped because of all the government handouts or programs, right, to help people, right? So some agencies, some people are projecting that there's 5.6 million people in Canada that are food insecure at the moment. And that represents 1 in 8 Canadian households are having trouble with putting food on their tables, right? So in A12, you can see that it's the same percentage, about 1 in 8 people, which is about 12.5% of people in Simcoe County, Muskoka, have trouble putting food on their table. And that represents about 90,000 people in Simcoe County alone. I don't have the number for Muskoka. And then you see in Parry Sound District, it's 1 in 7 households have food insecurity problems. You know, we look at Parry Sound, Muskoka District, thinking of all those big cottages and houses there, right? But when you go behind the scenes, there is a lot of poverty and people are working those low paying jobs and such, right? So it's hard. We do have a food insecurity, hunger problem in our area. So food insecurity can be a serious health problem. People who experience food insecurity have poor physical and mental health. It can lead to diabetes, high blood pressure, poor oral health, mental health issues. Our healthcare system gets used a lot. And just with our healthcare system, it can cost us these people who don't have enough food can cause our healthcare system 121% more money to move on, right? So it is a big issue. So Ruth, could you do the poll now, please?
I can. Okay, in front of you should now be a poll. You have 4 choices. And we'd like you to take your best guess at which one. How many groups are there in Canada helping the hungry? You can only choose one. The others, a few more minutes to respond. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now and share the results. 100% of you said 4,000.
Wow, you guys, sorry, you're way off. According to Second Harvest charity out of Toronto, it's 61,000 agencies or groups that can help that are helping people with food and hunger in Canada. You know, that ranges from, say, like the Barrie Lions Club doing those meals for the Busby Center, you know, my local church soup kitchen, right? So it's 61,000. You know, that's a lot of people out there trying to help somebody. Right? So as hopefully you get a picture that hunger, food insecurity is a big issue in our country and in our area. One opportunity there is to help alleviate this problem is that we could reduce the amount of food waste that is going into our landfill sites, right? As the slide says, only 4% of surplus edible food is rescued and redistributed, right? That amounts to about 1/3 of the trash that is going into the garbage is food that could be, that is food being wasted, right? So these are the numbers, right? 58% of all food produced is lost and wasted in Canada every year. That's ranging from our restaurants, our grocery stores, to our food processors and stuff. And 11.2 million of that food is edible food that can still be used, right? So it's a lot of food being wasted. And that food, when it goes to the dump, it's creating greenhouse gases, right? Plus the greenhouse gases that are created when that food is made or transported to our grocery stores, to our homes and stuff. So 56 million tons of CO2 emissions are created by food processing and food production. So fighting food waste does fall under those United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, responsible consumption and production, climate action, and zero hunger. Those are the goals that the UN has set to try and meet by the year 2030. So with the responsible consumption, if we encourage businesses to waste less food, and they can develop responsible food chains, right? That helps us in a responsible production. By getting food to people who need it, we can reduce the greenhouse gases that are created when food go to landfills. And obviously, if we can get food to people, we can help lower the hunger rates in the world, right? So one area where I think as individuals we have lots and lots of issues, right, is best before dates on our foods, right? So I've taken all this. The next little bit of stuff that I'm going to talk about came from the Second Harvest charity website, right? They do a lot of food rescue in Toronto and throughout Canada, right? So, you know, manufacturers, they have best before dates on their products, and they love them because people don't realize food is still good after that date. And as soon as that date comes up, a lot of people will throw food out no matter what, right? And there's only There's only, well, the next slide I'll talk, there's only a few items that have expiry dates and that you have to be concerned about. You know, so then government regulations, right? They the government always has their hands in things, and they're trying to promote food safety, but some of it could be overbearing or overtaxing. We don't need those. And consumers, right? A lot of us look at expiry dates and we react to them, and we don't realize we can still keep that food. So as you can see, best before dates are indication of food quality, not food safety. You can eat food past its best before date, right? There are guides out there. If you go to Second Harvest, right? They have a list of foods that, you know, the dates when you should be eating them. You know, things like, say, dairy, milk, or eggs and cheese. They have the best before date. They're still good for at least 2 more weeks, right? And you use common sense. If you open up a package of milk or a bottle of milk and it smells right, you know, it's probably bad, right? But they are still good up for 2 weeks. And most other items, things like ketchup, you know, dill pickles, long are properly stored in the refrigerator and stuff like that. They're still good up for a year after those dates have passed, right? So as long as they're handled safely, you can still use them. So then there's expiry dates. So there's best before dates, and that's, you know, if you see on the bottle, you'll see the BB, right? And there's expiry dates. And as you can see, there's only 5 items or 5 categories of foods that utilize expiry dates, right? So be aware that best before dates are good, but they do contribute to food waste, right? So.
Randy, I guess we can basically say that best before dates is just telling us when the food is at its peak.
Exactly, right, yes. So yeah, does anybody have any questions there about best before dates or such?
I'm not seeing any hands raised or any questions yet. Randy.
Okay, so we'll move on to climate change, right? I think we all agree that climate change is happening, and it's just we might have different perceptions of how bad it is, right? But I believe climate change is happening, and I think most of us do, right? So climate change is a long-term shift in weather conditions measured by changes in such things as temperature, precipitation, snow cover, and wind, and other factors. Climate change can be caused by natural occurrences, such as a volcano, or even the output in energy from the sun. But what we can control is our human activities that involve burning fossil foods and such, right? So those burning of fossil foods and such build up greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, which causes the atmosphere to heat up, and that's where the climate change occurs. So climate change is impacting our health, right? It's going to increase the smog levels in our cities, right? Which can cause respiratory illnesses and other diseases. And you know, the heat waves, we know what happened in BC last summer with the heat dome. I don't remember how many people died, but a lot of people died in BC because of the heat, right? Climate change, since we're getting warmer, and different areas of the world, it will allow the spread of diseases such as malaria, yellow fever to move up into these areas where it was never before. So climate change will affect us, right? Okay. So I just gonna give you some food facts some food facts that have an effect on climate change. I'm not out to put down any sector of our economy. A lot of it is agriculture, but these are just facts that are happening out there that that affect climate change. It's not a view, my view, if they're good or bad, right? So, and these food facts I got from the Earth Day website, right? So an estimated 18,000 gallons of water goes into a single pound of beef. That's a lot of water to make for a hamburger, right? Someone could take 105 8-minute showers a day to match that that usage of water to make into a pound of beef. So food is, of all the carbon emissions that's happening, the production of food does cost 30% of those emissions. And that's everything: growing, production, transportation, retail. So food is a leading cause of carbon emissions. So beef produces the most greenhouse gas emissions, which include methane. Methane is a greenhouse gas, and it has an impact of 25 times greater on our planet than carbon dioxide does. So, beef is considered the largest contributor of methane in the U.S., right? And 2/3 of agriculture greenhouse and 70% of methane emissions comes from livestock growth. So our food does affect our climate. This is just a little chart that if you were to eat one banana every day for a year, the contribution that banana or that consumption of that banana to greenhouse gas emissions would occur. So one banana per day per year for the whole year, it would contribute 25 kilograms of greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. 25 kilograms, like it says, it's like driving for 64 miles, or it could heat a home in Britain for 3 days. And eating one banana a day for a year uses up 3,333 liters of water, which is like an 8-minute shower, 51 8-minute showers. So everything we eat has a relationship to what's happening in the world of climate change. And this is just a chart that shows a few different vegetables and fruits, how they contribute to greenhouse gases. So one avocado would contribute 0.2 of a kilogram of greenhouse gases to the atmosphere, whereas something like an apple or a citrus fruit is way down about 3.03 of a kilogram. So one thing this chart shows me is, that our food is all the foods contribute somewhat to the situation about carbon greenhouse gases emissions. So if you want to look up some other fruits and vegetables and see how they compare or how they affect the climate with the emissions of greenhouse gases. There's food carbon emissions calculators out there. This one I got what came from food emissions, right? Food emissions. You can just search food emissions calculators, and there's lots of them out there. There's this one, and there's one from Earth Day, right? So it was really interesting. And the one thing you can change some of the criteria, right? Say if you were doing strawberries, you can see how much greenhouse gas they contribute if you bought them locally or if you bought them from the US, right? So it does make buying local or buying from the US does make a big difference. So it was a neat little tool to look at. So we have seen this three-legged stool in some of our other presentations concerning membership, leadership, and service. But I brought it here tonight because I believe there is a connection between hunger, food waste, and climate change. So just a picture of the Earth with the chair affecting it. And if you look closely at the picture of the Earth, it is a bit sideways. So it is the contribution of the three groups we're looking at tonight does affect the Earth. So food that is produced but not eaten ends up in landfills and creates methane. When food is wasted, all those resources that are used to produce it are wasted also. And if we can reduce our food loss and waste in Canada, we can reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and we can feed some hungry people out there. So I'm going to ask Ruth, I'm going to ask people if they have any solutions they believe for reducing food loss and waste. I'm asking if you would give me some examples as an individual, what you think we could do to reduce food waste.
If you want to type in your responses into the Q&A box, please do. Or if you want to speak verbally, just raise your hand. There's a little hand that you can click on at the bottom of your screen, and that will give me an indication that you want to talk to us verbally. So what solutions do you think we could apply to help reduce food loss and waste? While we're waiting for them to do that, Randy, I'm going to tell you something that I personally do. When I'm at a restaurant, and especially if it's a restaurant I've been to before, when I order my meal, as soon as it's delivered, I ask for a to-go box right away. And I literally take half the food, put it in the to-go box, and then I eat the rest. And I take that to-go box home, and I've got myself another meal. And I've learned to do that. If I wait until I eat and then ask for the to-go box at the end, usually my eyes are bigger than my stomach, and I end up eating more than I should. And then I look at the little bit that's left on the plate, and I go, oh, it's not worth, bother taking it home. But by doing the to-go box at the beginning, as soon as I get my plate, I'm doing two things. I'm not overeating, and I'm creating a second meal for myself.
Right, that's good. The only suggestion I would have is if you could bring something from home to I know a glass Tupperware, a glass container, a Tupperware container.
That's a good idea.
Because, most restaurants use styrofoam, right?
Yeah, a few of them are now starting to use cardboard. which
Yes,
I'm
they
okay
are.
with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cardboard, could be an issue if you have like something creamy or runny, right? But
but that's a good suggestion. I'll try to remember that for the next
yeah,
time. I hit it.
it's
Okay.
yeah, one of our Lions members from my club, she does it all the time. Yeah.
Okay, we've got some things coming up now.
Okay.
Denise is suggesting that we make a list before we go grocery shopping.
Yes.
Great. And Jocelyn says, avoid buying too much, make a shopping list, store properly so that it will last longer, and make your kids finish their food.
Yeah.
She also said to organize your cupboards so that you don't find food in the back that's 3 years old.
Exactly. Yes. Those are all good suggestions. And some of them are what I'm going to show next, right? So
Yeah.
is there
And
anybody else?
Yeah, Linda says to stop overbuying groceries. And Bob Charlton says, use a shopping list when shopping for groceries so that you don't buy things you may not use. Keep unused food and eat all your leftovers.
Right.
Don't, yeah, he also says, don't overstock your freezer.
Yeah. Good. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Those, well, the next 4 or 5 slides all have those suggestions. So don't overbuy.
Yeah.
We tend to, especially bulk food, if we buy bulk food, we tend to overbuy too much and it goes stale and we don't use it. Or we buy things on sale. So I'm bad for this, but for buying things on sale, thinking, well, it'll last, and it usually does, but it could happen. So so don't overbuy, use less, right? Somebody mentioned store food correctly, right? So make sure it goes into, make sure you rotate your cupboards, organize them, make sure you refrigerate them when necessary. I went to a friend's place a few weeks ago and she had her ketchup out on the counter all day, all the time, right? And I just cringed, and I actually did use some, but I was worried that that's an item that's supposed to be refrigerated. It should be refrigerated. So just make sure you store your food correctly. Don't be a perfectionist. Grocery stores or the food industry has got us trained that we have to buy the perfect apple, the perfect orange. There's nothing wrong with those apples or oranges that have that blemish on it, right? That they don't look perfect. So don't be afraid to buy those things. This is going to create make less food waste at the manufacturer's area or at the farmers, right? If we're not afraid to buy some of those imperfect things, right? So somebody mentioned save leftovers. Again, we went to a friend's place last fall, and she cooked us dinner. And what she cooked, she probably threw half of it out, right? She just overcooked, and she didn't save the leftovers, right? And it was just a huge waste of food.
Denise actually says that she loves leftovers and she's always pulling stuff out of her fridge to eat rather than going shopping. So
right.
good for
Okay, good. And blend it up. Use a blender if your leftovers or those blemished fruits, right? Or those fruits that are a bit ripe, they all can go into a blender and make a smoothie. And it's a really simple way to use up some items. I'm not afraid, and I will make a fruit smoothie, right? But if I have a stalk of broccoli or a couple of stalks of broccoli left over, I'll just throw those in, right? So it just uses those items up quickly. So.
My mother called it the kitchen sink soup.
Yeah. And talked to this about a moment ago, about understand the expiration dates or the best before dates. Those are so important. I think people don't understand them and they throw out a lot of food. And, it does create more waste just in garbage and with plastics and the packaging, right? So if you understand the dates and realize food can last for a longer time than the best before dates, right? If you go to that Second Harvest website, they have a small video manual or tutorial on expiration dates, best before dates, and it's really helpful. It'll tell you, like eggs, you can keep them up to about 2 weeks after the best before date. Something like yogurt is still good for about 2 weeks again, but it'll tell you, it shows you those best before dates, how long things are good for, how long they're good for. So I would encourage everyone to maybe look at that Second Harvest charity under resources. Oh, so this is one of the websites I use. I found 20 ways to reduce your food waste. It was on the Healthline website, and that's the web address. But if you just put in the search bar food waste or ways to reduce food waste, you'll come up with a lot of websites that have different ideas. And so let's look at, what do you think as a club? Is there some solutions out there as a club that we can do to help reduce food waste in our area? So again, asking, chat or question and answer, or raise your hands if you wish to share some ideas.
Okay, keeping an eye out. Give them a few seconds to type in. While we're waiting for them to do that, Randy, the question I have for you is, are we able to entice, encourage, suggest, I'm not sure which way to go about it, the caterers that are feeding our clubs? Is that a good place for us to start?
I think that's a perfect place to start, right? Because they usually cook too much. They don't want to run out, which is understandable, but you got to make sure that they have a plan for that extra food, what is going to happen to it, right? So either, I think at Tiny, they'll sell it after the meal to members, which is good, or so we have to have some solutions like donating it or reusing it if it's still safe, right? So yeah.
Denise is saying that volunteer for shifts at local food banks to help stock shelves and distribute the food. And Jocelyn says we can educate them the way you are educating me. Give them suggestions or run a class on how to organize food, make shopping lists, and know what expiry dates actually mean.
Right, good, yes, all good suggestions. Especially the one about running the class, educating people out there. That's a good one. That's, with the pandemic, being less of a concern, that's something we could hold now, right? So some solutions I thought of, right? If we're having a meal or a fundraiser, or a barbecue or something, make sure we have a plan that we know what we're going to do if the leftover foods, right? If we're going to donate it to a charity, or if we're going to sell it, like I mentioned, or if it's just going to be reused, if it's safety, right? But safe. But just make sure we have a plan so we don't just, oh, end of the night, throw the stuff out, right? So we want to be able to do something with it. So Second Harvest, they have a Get Food program. This is for clubs that are close for Toronto. The closer to Toronto, the easier it would be, right? But all clubs can do it. The Pen and Tang Machine Rotary Club is doing it. They're getting food from Toronto, from Second Harvest. They have ordered potatoes for us for the area, and that they hand out. So it is possible that you can take part in this program. Second Harvest has Get Food no matter where you are located. So what Second Harvest does is if you're a charity or a nonprofit, they'll work with you to provide extra food that the industries or manufacturers or even grocery stores have, right? They'll contact you. You'll get put on a waiting list, and they have an app, and they'll contact you or let you know there's something available. I read a few weeks ago they had 900. One of the grocery stores had 900 extra cases of mangoes. They didn't know what to do with them. They contacted Second Harvest, and Second Harvest was able to get rid of all those cases. If they didn't have this, if Second Harvest wasn't around, those mangoes would have ended up in the garbage, right? So I would encourage your club to contact Second Harvest on their website and get it, if it's possible, get involved with their Get Food program.
Randy,
Yes.
a couple of comments came here while you were talking. Denise was saying that recently they had pizza left over from an event, and so they delivered it to a local youth center where there was a bunch of eager teenagers, so it got eaten up pretty quick.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and that's great. That's having a plan ready, or knowing what they can do with those extra food. The soup kitchen I work at, we get pizza from Pizzaville. They, at the end of the night, they'll just throw the extra pizzas in the freezer, and we go pick it up, right? And our clients love it. Once a month we'll serve pizza, and they love it, right? So
Bob Johnson also said that local food banks cannot distribute food that is past the best before date.
I was told that they can, long as it's within 6 months of the expiry date, but they have to tell their clients that it is expired. But that's what I was told.
Expiry or best before?
Oh, best before date. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If it's an expiry date, right, they can't. But remember, there's only 5 food groups that have expiry dates in Canada, right?
Right.
So best before dates are a manufacturer's invention to show you when the best quality of the food is. So I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that it's okay to give out food after the best before dates, long as you let people know those dates are passed and it's within 6 months.
Okay, great.
Okay, so approach local businesses about their surplus foods, restaurants, caterers. Last week I approached one of our restaurants, caterers, and she said there wasn't a big opportunity to help, but sometimes, at say funerals, the reception after a funeral, there's a lot of food left over, and she said, in the past it's always gone out into the garbage, but now that I've talked to her, she's going to keep us in mind, and we might have an opportunity to get some food that would be wasted and we can give it out to. So approach your local businesses. Walmart and Loblaws have programs out there where you can get surplus food from the stores. So just approach your local stores and ask them. That's all you can do, and you can maybe set up some program where you can get food. Again, going back, the soup kitchen I work at, we drive around Midland Tuesday mornings, and we go to the local grocery stores, and they know we come every Tuesday, and they set food aside that's not sellable, but it's still edible, right? It's mostly bread, and one of our local bakeries, at the end of the day, any of their excess bread they freeze, and we pick it up Tuesday mornings and we give it out, right? So approach your local businesses, and there's an opportunity that you can get some food and stuff.
I know that Cobb Breads, when I was out in BC, they have a program as well where they would bake fresh every day, and then at the end of the day, whatever was left in the display cases, they would bundle it up and take it to food, shelter homes and things of that nature. So if you've got a Cobb's Bread in your area, I know there's one in Collingwood for sure. I'm not sure where else the next closest one in, but basically you would be able to approach them, and I'm sure they would work with you.
Yeah, so there is opportunities, if you have a soup kitchen in your town or a food bank where you can approach local businesses and help those organizations out, right? And you also might know people who need some help, and you can just discreetly pick up some food for them from especially restaurants. If they have a meal for some reason that didn't get served, you can make arrangements, and they can let you know if they have that meal, and you can pick it up and drive it to somebody who would very much appreciate a hot, fresh meal. So there are club solutions out there. So that's it. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Jocelyn did mention that she used to manage a restaurant in the States, and the corporate company that owned it never allowed them to donate any leftovers, fresh baked bread in particular, due to liability. She said it was so sad to be tossing out food like that.
Yes, it is. I think companies are getting more open-minded or lenient about about food waste, and they're allowing it, but it's up to the individual companies, right? When you think of Loblaws, they have so many stores, and all that food that is approaching their best before dates or such is going to waste. We can't miss out on that opportunity to help people that are hungry, or to help our climate, to the earth, so that there's less greenhouse gas emissions, right? So, okay. Any other comments or questions? Oh, I think there's a question there, Ruth.
Yeah, Bob says, you indicated that a third of the garbage is wasted food. What was your source for that particular statistic?
I believe it was Earth Day, the website from Earth Day.
Okay, Bob, hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Bob says, thank you.
Okay. Yeah,
Any-
most of my information tonight came from Earth Day, Second Harvest, that Healthline, and a few other websites. Right. So, okay, so hopefully I was able to give a good overview of hunger, food insecurity, food waste, and climate change, and the relationship of the three. And we offered some solutions to those problems. So I believe we all can take part to help people with food insecurity, and we can help our climate by reducing our food waste. So if there's nothing else, I thank everyone for attending.
Okay, great. I have a short poll as well that I would like to share with you. Just need to bring it up, but it's not coming up.
You want me to stop sharing my screen?
That might help. Okay, let's see. And for some reason, it won't come up. It's the only one that's coming up in your, oh, hold on, there it is. Okay. I'm going to launch another poll for you lovely people to quickly answer. It's just 3 easy questions. They're all multi-choice. Just pick your particular one. It's basically to find out if this is your first session or not with us, and also how large your club is, and to find out whether you prefer webinars or in-person training. So if you could do that, that would be great. And Jocelyn says to you, Randy, thank you. I've learned new things and solutions to them. Time to go to convince Bill Coleman to do another service program. All right. Well, let me share the results here. Okay, so everybody that answered said that they had previously already attended, and clubs are between 15 and 25, and they prefer training for both. So thank you all very much. Really appreciate your effort and time joining us. So have a great day, and tell your friends and your members that this will be on the A12 Lions YouTube channel in a few days. Thank you. Rennie, you're getting a bunch of thank yous here from people as well. All the information.
Good job, Randy.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of